The good old library. Yeah, my name is Schumacher Gebler. I'm not the CEO of the Bonnier Group. I'm only the CEO of the German Bonnier Publisher Group. And I'm a very small light against Markus Dohle because Rüdiger Wischenbart mentioned Markus Dohle before. So when it comes to ebooks and libraries, we were facing the problem over the last years that the ebook market or the ebook market as such increased a little bit, but when we looked on our turnover and revenues, we don't see the big increase. And what we saw is that the main reason for this not increasing revenues are obviously the e-lending platforms. So let's see if I can. Yeah. So let's have a look on this e-lending, and I tried to point out, in a way, the difference between the new digital format and the physical format. And to say this in the beginning, we love the digital format. It's not about the digital format. It's more about the revenue streams. So let's compare the two different segments. We have in Germany, we have not only Kindle Unlimited, we have also, for instance, Tolino. So people do not only have to buy at Amazon, they can buy at each book store if they want to buy an ebook. So let's compare the formats. I mean, the effort to get an ebook is super low, and it's, of course, a high effort to get a physical book in a library because you have to go there, you have to see, do they have it, and so on. When it comes to availability, I mean, you can land an ebook on 365 days a year, 24 hours. There are no holidays in a library. You can get a book whenever you want to book. When it comes to the availability of physical books, I mean, well, depends if the library is open. Wear and tear, I mean, there is no wear and tear for ebooks, and of course, it's high on the physical side. And accessibility, also quite important. You might not see this, but in ebook, you can, in a way, land it globally. And when it comes to physical books, it's a very local market where you can get your book. So let's look on the German ebook market. You also had some market figures. We had a consumption of 66 million copies in the year 2020. I have no later figures. And the overall revenues were about 250 million euro. And now, look how it's divided. It's 53% of consumed copies bought by booksellers. More than 50% at Kindle Unlimited, but a little less than this 50% in all other bookstores in Germany as an ebook. And 47% of the consumed ebooks, so about 30 million copies, were consumed via the libraries. And now let's look at the revenues. I mean, this is a nightmare for us. These 47% of the overall consumption lead to a 6% revenue share. That's really a nightmare for us. So let's focus on this share between 53% consumption at the booksellers and 47% consumed at the libraries. The pure consumption. Booksellers, libraries. And then the revenues here, the revenue streams, 16 million towards 237 million. And now just think that we have a 50-50 share here in 2021, yeah? 50% in both. What would then happen for the revenues? So I just put this little piece here, which was already bought, to the libraries. Swoop. And then the revenues looks like that. It just goes down. So even if the same amount of books would be consumed as an ebook, but just the share between the booksellers or the books who were sold via the booksellers and the proportion in the libraries, then the market would go down. So how long should we wait that the market comes down to zero. How long? It's just a question about the share. And why should someone buy an ebook while he can get the ebook in the library for free? And I say for free because if you need to pay 10 euros a year to be a member of a library, 10 euros a year, sometimes it's 20 euros a year, and then borrow whatever you want, why should you then buy an ebook? And what we saw on the German ebooks which were landed is that we sold 5,500 ebooks to the libraries. That's what we sold to them. And just the top 10, just our top 10, had a consumption of almost 30,000 copies. Copies which were no longer bought by the customers, but landed. So let's look at the Q4 for us. That's the German Bonnie Group. There you can see the landings in Q4. About 500,000 copies were landed, and the ebooks we sold was 5,500 sold to the libraries. And then, if you think about the maximum potential which we could do in revenues for authors and publishers, that's this figure, and down there you see the actual sales. So, and as we have this problem, we had an initiative last year in Germany, and that's what I'm talking about in the next 2 minutes, and then I'm done, so to say. We had an initiative with top authors in Germany who were willing to stand up together with some 20 publishers and some 20 booksellers, which you might not see because it's down there. And we had the initiative which is called Fair Reading, and it just addresses to the politicians that we have a topic here and that we have a problem if this trend goes on. And in the end, it's also, I would say, a fight for intellectual property, because that's what it is. If someone wants to compete in the digital market, like the library does in Germany or in many other European countries, like Kindle Unlimited, and that's nothing else than Kindle Unlimited, what the libraries do. They are a heavy competitor to Kindle Unlimited or other subscription models. Then authors and publishers should be free to make the decision which books should be in the library service and which not. And what the libraries want from the politicians in Germany is that publishers and authors should be forced to put their books from day one, their bestsellers from day one, into the library service. And that's what we don't accept, or what we are not willing to accept, at least. That's it, more or less. And we had a great attention, we had enormous media echo, and we had, by now, some 3,000 authors who signed the petition. And I think it was first time ever last year that authors, publishers, and booksellers addressed the problem we are facing with the e-learning service. Thank you.